What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another Chaseontwowheels first ride, and today this 2017 Ducati Scrambler Desert Sled is going to get a first ride. Let us start now. Alrighty. Oh my good lord, this thing is tall. Oh, kickstand. Okay. What's going on, everybody? Alrighty. 2017 Ducati Scrambler. Man, this is one of the bikes. This is one of the bikes I ride that I really want. It's going to join that group of bikes. Oh my god, this thing is taller than I expected. Good god. My hands are so high. My back has to be upright just so my hands can fit on these handlebars. Oh my goodness. It's maneuverable though. I can flick it back and forth at slow speeds at least. Alright. Let's check out what the Scrambler is all about. Here's why I want this motorcycle. Because I'm wanting an upgrade for my WR 250, and I want something that can do a little bit of off-road, but I can also take my fiance on the back with it. And the seat on this thing is huge. So I think that was that the blinker? Oh god, that blinker's terrible. It like micro moves. I couldn't even tell I did anything. This bike is way taller and way bigger in person than I originally expected. That's a legit little Humvee thing. That's awesome. I've seen a lot of ads for this bike, and I guess they like get giant models to stand next to this bike, because look how bent my legs are. My legs are barely bent at all. Like, I can flat foot it, but the seat's so wide it's hard to flat foot. Also, we're like, this is like the Scrambler dirt trim, you know, so that's something you got to keep in mind. Oh, okay, I could see there's replacing a WR. You know, for such a big engine, I would expect way more torque. The torque, it's not that torquey, and I would expect it to be a little more torquey, but you know what? If you're riding this off-road, it might be helpful to not be so torquey. What's the difference between this and the regular Scrambler? From what I understand, it has an upgraded suspension and, you know, a little bit of facial pieces, like the light guard, I guess you could call that. And the tires, it's got some really awesome gold rims that you guys saw in the beginning of the video. So I think Ducati has all their Scramblers. They're just trying to make each of them just slightly different than the other. There's no major changes. Wow, that is a smooth engine. Like, it's just engine braking, nothing serious. Throttle, nothing serious. It's just really a smooth package. But you know what? Like I said, I'm wanting this for off-road use and to ride with my lady. And a bike that I want to ride two up on, I don't necessarily want it to be really torquey. Oh my god, I keep clicking the turn signal cancelator and it never happens. Oh. I did notice you've got a single front disc brake, so I don't expect the braking to be absolutely phenomenal. And I don't expect this to be an absolutely phenomenal dirt bike, but I do think it would be a good all-rounder. Man, to shift, you have to basically kickstart the bike down a gear. It's flicky, man. These big old handle. Oh my good god! Stop doing that. These big old handlebars. I feel like I'm holding a bull by the horns. I'm touching something with my back foot, and now I'm curious what it is. Oh, that's the exhaust. Oh, awesome. Okay. So the exhaust might be a little close to the rider's right peg. Not a huge fan of that. Like, obviously it's on the bottom, so if anything, you'll just melt your shoe. It's kind of cool having your arm so high up, and you can just, I feel like this thing is doing what I want it to. Like, you listen to me, mother. That's what the higher handlebars like kind of makes me feel. Mirrors are actually really good. I'm actually surprised at the mirrors. I wonder if we can, wow, is that the rear brake? That rear brake is down there. We're gonna get over here with this guy. What's he on? Got a Honda Super Sport. Check that out. So rear brake way lower than I kind of wanted to be. I have to do that thing where I pivot my leg to actually hit the rear brake. Never a big fan of that. I don't want to have to work hard to brake my motorcycle. Oh, snizzy snaps. All right, we got no windshield, and this is the highway. So interested to see how this goes. Typically the Scramblers aren't good on the highway, but I'm looking at this bike as replacing a WR250, and if you guys have ridden the WR250, you know that the highway is its like arch nemesis. I'm riding with that guy. Dude, that blinker is terrible. The cancellator thingy-majigger, it is bad. For a naked bike that's meant to be kind of off-roady, this ain't bad. I expected to feel a lot more wind than this, and it might just not be a windy day, but this ain't bad. We're going, what, 80? Not bad at all. Alright, let's do this whole thing. Wow, I'm going 100? Holy shit! When did that happen? That kind of came out of nowhere. Wow, that bike has way more pull on the highway than I would have expected. The wind is getting a little worse. You know, it's not great, but for a naked bike, man, and being upright and not being pushed into the wind, it's totally understandable. You know, if you're gonna go the speed limit, it's not gonna be that bad. You know, like now you're going 70-ish. Wind ain't bad at all. So as far as the highway to ride, the bike's pretty smooth. The wind's kind of, I'd say on a 1 to 10. The wind's probably a 5 to 7, 10 being terrible, and then obviously 1 being like in a wind bubble where you feel no wind. I kind of like this thing going over bumps. God, I hate that rear brake though. God, the shifting is terrible. I try to give bikes a leeway with the shifting because they're brand new most of the time, at least. So I try not to be too hard on them, but this shifting is really bad. I kind of like doing U-turns and like going slow on this bike. Yeah, the power is just, it's not too jerky, which is a good thing. I'd say that it's not like nothing is a good or bad. It's all dependent on what you want out of a bike. If you want a really jerky, torquey bike, I don't think I wouldn't put you in this direction. I wouldn't put you at a Scrambler. But if you want like a smooth bike to kind of do more chill riding on, might be a good option. I'll describe to you guys the bike I'm looking for, and that'll help you understand why I'm liking this bike so much. So right now I have a WR250. It's a tiny engine, but it's really torquey, and you know, it's good at low speeds. It's fun to wheelie. But what I'm looking for is a bike that I can ride with my fiance/wife on. I want it to be kind of a more chill bike. I don't want to be doing crazy stuff on it, and I want to be able to do dirt, like off-road type stuff sometimes, but we're talking like 10 to 15% of the time, not very often. So you can see that what I'm looking for is really close to this package. This bike I also saw has an ABS slide, which means it has anti-lock brakes, which is nice for the road. I don't think that would be good on the dirt though, because you know, even when I go off-road on my WR and I just want to mess around, you know, I still like screech in the back tire and stuff. I like the feeling on bikes with soft suspension that have like not a ton of torque, but enough torque to kind of like lighten the suspension. If I remember correctly, it was the Multistrada that did that a lot. It had a really big engine. You could like throttle it up and it would just kind of wave up and down. It's kind of a fun feeling. The only thing I'm kind of questioning on this bike, from a perspective of a guy actually wanting it, is I just wonder if the engine will break in enough to have a lot of fun on. Rear brake's terrible, I'm sorry. Like, I'm just pressing on the rear brake and I feel like the bike's not slowing down enough. See, I'm going back and forth, man. I like the smoothness, especially from the get-go, but then once I get going, I kind of go back to my WR where I want to be able to clutch this thing up and like ride a wheelie out, you know what I mean? And the way the power is delivered on this bike is just really kind of calm. I kind of do wish I had a gear indicator for this thing. It kind of seems like for a bike that's like 11,000-ish, you should get a gear indicator, right? Like, you come on, give a man a gear indicator, especially on a bike that it's so hard to shift because you don't even know what gear you're in. There it is. Okay, it's got to be in first because second gear, I was not giving enough power. It would take a lot of work though. This is one of those bikes that has a really short first gear, but that's where all the power is, so. Man, the passengers of Ducati Scramblers have it made. This thing is comfy, like you have a giant seat back here. Look how far back I am. Also, I noticed while I was filming, look at that, born free 1962. Ducati is putting a ton of marketing into the Scrambler. You guys might be able to see on the side, look how big the word Scrambler is and how tiny the word Ducati is. It's almost like Ducati wants to make the Scrambler its own thing. I mean, with how many models, like, there's the Desert Sled. What are the other ones? There's like Cafe Racer. There's a legit like 5 different Scramblers, all with like slight modifications. You know, you want to talk about a downtown, kind of around the town motorcycle? This thing ain't bad. It's smooth, you don't got to worry about being like jerky, but to get that, you have to sacrifice the funness of having a little bit of twitch going on. Do we know what gear we're in? Are we in first? Awesome. Are we sure? Yep, we should be in first. All signs point to first. You know, I could imagine you tweak this engine a little bit, drop the handlebars and give you a little forward seating position. I could see how this could be a totally different bike. You know, thinking of their Cafe Racer. I haven't ridden their Cafe Racer one, but I'd be interested to ride the Cafe Racer one where you're kind of leaned up forward. Could be interesting. All right, let's pull into here and check out the bike, talk over the looks. Totally empty parking lot. What up? All right, let's pull over and check this beast out. Man, the maneuverability of this bike at low speeds is phenomenal. I love it. Oh wow, that was actually heavier than I expected. It's a lot heavier than I expected, actually. Okay, we'll comment on the looks, not the weight. Don't want to insult the bike. Alrighty dudes, 2017 Ducati Scrambler Desert Sled. The coloring ain't bad. Dan must have talked Ducati into putting gold rims on here. I'm not sure if I'm a fan. I don't know what color I'd want them to be though, because at least they semi-match with the shock. You know, I give them that. I mean, if you made that shock red and them rims red, might be something. Looks like we got a Brembo up front for the brakes. What am I going to say? I do like the cyclopsy look of the tail. I like the tail light. I think most of the Scramblers have those. You can see anti-lock brakes on the back. We got anti-lock brakes on the front. Engine-wise, you know, I think the bike looks really good. The only thing about the bike that I would really change, I think, would be the rims, the color of the shock, and get these the hell off that bike. I like the red gas tank. I think they have a white gas tank as well. The white gas tank might work better with all of the gold, because I think gold and white would look good. Don't know if I'd have done gold with the red gas tank. This is one of those Scrambler things I was talking about. You got this little shield. I don't know how strong that is. Like, if you hit something, would that actually protect the headlight? Who knows, man? The exhaust, not bad. You know, a lot of brands have terrible exhausts. That is one of the better ones. So good job, Ducati. Okay, so we're going to crank this thing up and let you guys listen to it. Before we do, I like to always remind you guys, I do write-ups of all the first ride bikes that I do over on Chaseontwowheels.com. So if you're interested in hearing what the bike actually sounds like, I pull out a nice recorder and I record some audio, take some nice photos. So if you want like a background image of the bike, all that kind of stuff's up there. But links will always be in the description and at the top of the screen, probably around right now. But let's listen to this thing. 2017 Ducati Scrambler Desert Sled. Here's the thing with this bike. It has what would seem like a really deep, oh my god, it's tall. It has a really deep sound, but it's like you took a really loud motorcycle and turned the volume down. That's what the bike sounds like. So we can look at the cluster right here. We've got brights, an oil light, an engine light, ABS, gas. There's no gas gauge. Man, see, I would want that too, especially on a bike where I would be riding it off-road. I mean, like, what if I'm going down the road, right? And I'm like, hey, I want to go off-road. But I would want to be like, how much gas do I got so I know if I should gas up beforehand or not? That's something I would like to have. Do I have to have it? No, but come on, give a man a few extras. Ducati for 11,000. The bike does handle bumps really freaking well. I'll give it that. That soft suspension, I'm like, am I going over bumps? Where are they? Ooh, acceleration test. Alright, so overall, what do I think about the 2017 Ducati Scrambler Desert Sled? Everything is really controllable and easy to do. So it accelerates, meh. It brakes, meh. Everything's kind of slow and methodical with this bike. Like, nothing happens very abruptly. The suspension is really soft, so you're gonna be able to soak up any bumps if you're going off-road and all that kind of stuff. The bike is a little heavier than I think it kind of should be, especially for the way the engine gives you the power. I feel like if a bike is going to be heavy, you got to put some power behind the engine and be like, look, you got a heavy bike, but at least you can go fast. Or, you know, at least you got some torque to get you places. And I feel like this is just kind of, it's more sluggish than I kind of wish it was. Now, if you're looking for a, you know, a more controllable bike that you can do lots of stuff with, this is a good option. Speaking of which, who is the bike for? You know, you're not going to have this as your dirt bike. You're not going to pay, or you might, who knows, but I don't foresee a lot of people paying $11,000 for a bike to take off-road all the time. Could totally be wrong. I see this as kind of what I want it for, or what I kind of want a bike for is, you know, I want to do like 85% on-road, and I want to do about 15% off-road, and even when I do off-road, it's nothing crazy serious. I think it would be awesome downtown with how smooth the bike is, going from red light to red light and navigating traffic in a downtown situation. I think it would be really fun in this thing. The big seat would make it awesome for you to ride with somebody, whether that be your significant other or whatever. The rear part of the seat is huge, so that person's going to have a really good time. It's also going to be easy for them to ride on the back because you're going to have a smoother bike, so they're not going to be jerked off the bike. Alright, so pixel helmet scale. Out of 5 pixel helmets, where do I put this bike? You know, coming into it, I wanted it to be a 5. I was really excited about it, and I was like, oh my god, later this year after my wedding and everything, I'm really going to look into getting this. Personally, I think it's a little too heavy, and I think it needs a little more torque. Now that could, you know, be done with like an engine remat maybe, but for me, it's gonna drop down to 4 pixel helmets. I feel like it could be massively improved with just a few modifications. But anyways, guys, that is all of my thoughts on the 2017 Ducati Scrambler Desert Sled. Big shout out to Mountain Motorsports in Roswell. They're the dealership that lets me first ride all of these bikes for you guys to let you know, have a better understanding of what the bike feels like to ride it for the first time, so you know what the bike feels like and whether or not you should go check it out for yourself. I do not recommend you making purchasing decisions solely based on my one first ride. But guys, I am Chase on Two Wheels. This has been a Chase on Two Wheels first ride. I appreciate you guys sticking around with me and watching the entire video. If you did, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more first rides. And I'll see you guys in the next video, where I hopefully ride a bike that I want to buy and want to buy it afterwards. I feel like I've ridden too many bikes now where I'm like, man, I'm really excited. I'm really excited to ride this bike, and I'm like, considering purchasing it, and then I ride it and I'm like, I mean, I still like it. I just don't want it as bad as I wanted it. Anyway, enough of that. I'll see you guys in the next one. Later. I was really pulling for you, Ducati. I really was. But you kinda lacklustered me on that one. I gotta admit, I expected a Ducati to have a little more something. I would expect something like this out of a Honda.